Hi, welcome aboard Freedom, and this, which is our anniversary questions and answer vlog. Now, I've took the liberty of splitting this questions and answers into three categories, starting with boat and boat orientated questions, followed then in another vlog doing lifestyle questions, and third but not last is Misty questions. So without any further ado, let's get started. Well, Trudy, that's really a good question. Trudy is a moorer here at Mercia, and yes, well, I've had a first year after my first winter. Is there anything I'd add to Freedom? But to be honest with you, I don't think so. I've had a really good year, a good winter, a good summer. I've not wanted for anything. I haven't thought, oh, I wish I'd have bought this, or I need to change that. The boat's been lovely and warm. I've had no heating issues. I've had no maintenance or running issues with the boat or its electrics or anything like that. So the honest answer at the moment is no, but I will keep you posted. Well, the simple answer is because the boat Freedom is moored in a marina, but it's still sitting on CRT, Canal and River Trust water. The answer is yes, I do need a boat licence, which I believe this year is just over £1,000 if I pay it in advance, and I think it's £1,300 if I don't pay it until it's due. Which I suppose moorers like myself who aren't going out on the water at the moment seem to feel is a bit harsh. Just to float, we're not actually going anywhere. We don't actually get anything direct, as in, the maintenance of the system, I suppose, will be there ready for when we want it. So it's a price that we have to pay, and you take it on the chin and you put that into your costings. So the answer is yes, I do have to have a license. That's a good question, Elaine. Well, I am actually planning on, depending on the COVID lockdown rules, etc., during the summer, to get Freedom sailed from Mercia down to the visitors' moorings at Sawley, just for 2 or 3 days. And there's a stretch of the Trent there where there's a lot of wide water and hopefully not too much traffic to interfere with me, and I'm going to spend 2 or 3 days moored there, and each day I'm going to take Freedom up and down that simple stretch. I'm not going to go to any locks. The River Derwent is there, and you can turn off to Shardlow Marina. So I'm going to sail Freedom around in circles, feel how she handles when the wind's blowing against her, feel how she handles when there's a little bit of a current. There's not be much, but there's a weir there, so that will obviously put some draw on her. And it's just to get the feel of the boat for now. And the second part of your question, will I be visiting King's Marina? Once I've got the confidence, once I've done my helmsman's course, then I'm definitely coming for tea and cake. And don't forget, Misty likes a bit of cake. Hi, Cheryl. Well, you've actually asked lots of questions. Some are boat, some are lifestyle. So I'm going to try and cover some of your boat questions. You are saying that you're considering living on a wide beam, and you're concerned about limited DIY skills. And to be honest, yes, I can service my car if I had to, and I'm fairly confident that I could do a good job. But what I intend to do is get instruction on everything, and watch, learn, have the right tools at hand, make sure I've got all the equipment I'm ever going to need to do such things as servicing and battery changing, etc. And always remember, there is plenty of very, very good wide beam and narrowboat forums. If you're in a marina, trust me, there's a host of very, very helpful, knowledgeable people who will guide you. If you're out on the water, again, use the forums, and there will always be fellow boaters if you find yourself in a bit of a pickle who will have an answer or know somebody who's got the answer. And do remember that when you're out on the water, you can join it's the Waterways version of the AA, and you have different scales of what, like again with the AA, different scales of membership, and the River and Canal Rescue guys are only a phone call away should you need them. So don't worry too much if you get stuck, because there is always help at hand. Well, that's another good question, Joel. To be fair, because I'm moored as I am, my only checks I do is to keep a top up on my water tank. I do constantly check the engine bay area just to make sure there's no water drips or anything like that. I do occasionally turn the grease for the prop shaft gland, and I always keep a check and make sure I've got a good antifreeze level in both my central heating, and checking all the fluids obviously on the engine, so that when I do need to use it, it's safe to do so. There's not a great deal. I mean, such as your batteries now, most batteries are quite maintenance free, you know, and you will learn and you will pick up what suits your boat and what checks you need to do. When you're cruising, obviously you'll do these checks more often. I believe that most narrowboaters will do a quick engine check and have a walk around, make sure everything on the boat's fine before they set off, just to keep everything, you know, nice and safe. You asked some cracking good questions. Well, Joel, I'm actually going to cheat on this one. I'm going to use your question as a very quick and easy vlog in the not too distant future, because I think it'll be a lot easier for me to film it. And if you go on YouTube, you will see a lot of gas bottle changes on narrowboats. I can't remember seeing them on a wide beam, but the procedure is exactly the same. But I will take you through it step by step. And again, it's not as scary as it first sounds. So look forward to watching that vlog, and hopefully that'll answer any worries or concerns that you've got. Well, Janice, that's an easy one to answer. I haven't sailed it for diesel because there's sufficient in the tank to do what it needs to do for now, which is basically move every 6 months between the berths. And as I have a cassette toilet, I don't use the pump out. So those two are really not applicable to me at the moment. But before I do go out more regular on the water, my intentions is to empty the remains of the diesel tank, clean it out, and then fill with fresh diesel and treat with anti-bug treatment, and then constantly keep that tank topped up, because it eliminates a lot of issues in the future. But for now, there's enough fuel in there to do what it needs to do. I can't see the point of emptying it and cleaning it and doing all that now, because I will be doing it again before I go out, as I will be doing things like the services, etc. So I hope that's answered that question. Well, when it comes to security, Janice, I suppose it's you have to ensure that your boat is secure as it needs to be to give you the peace of mind to leave it. I know there's been a lot of debates on the forums where people Put big chunky padlocks on the outside of the doors, front and rear. And it is only my opinion, then that's telling people there's nobody on the boat. It really is. Freedom is fitted with high security door locks and very high security hinges, so it would make getting the doors off very difficult. I have installed a good batch, let's just say a good batch of internal and external cameras that feed both to my phone and to the cloud. So if somebody was to come aboard and even steal one of the outside cameras, then obviously the evidence is still on the cloud, or so they can't destroy that. I also took the safety measure of installing several covert cameras on board for peace of mind, and of course I've got the best security ever, which is Misty, and trust me, nobody will come on this boat if I'm in bed asleep if Misty's on board, because she does pump herself up and thinks she's a boy, and she barks like a boy and she snarls like a boy. So get yourself a dog, but be aware that them padlocks on the outside of your doors is just an invite to the scumbags that are around, who will see that as an opportunity with a pair of bolt cutters to knock them off. And if you are in a situation where you've got to put external padlocks on, then go into a proper locksmith centre, talk to the guys there, look at things like what years ago, I'm sure you can still buy them. They used to sell padlocks called battleship padlocks. And I can remember buying a pair of those for my business doors. And I'm going back, I've had the business nearly 40 years, and they cost me £80 each then. And I still got them padlocks, and my property's never been broken into. They're absolutely the hardest padlock to try and cut. Unless you've got an acetylene torch or something, they're very secure. But wherever possible, get a boat that's got internal locks, damn good security locks, and do install, as I say, some form of camera system. Another good question, Janice. Boat mortgages are available. I believe there's only a limited number of companies that do this. And because I bought as a cash buyer, I didn't need a mortgage. I'm not qualified to tell you, but I'm sure if you was to Google, you will soon find, or better still, put that question onto one of the boating forums or all the boating forums, and at least then you're going to get a cross-section view of people who have used different mortgage companies, boat mortgage companies, who's going to look after you the best. Peter and Sue Lee in Canada has asked this question. And the answer is, yeah, I have actually. Only one item that I think there's only one item that comes to mind that I've bought that I've actually never used in a whole year, and that's a toaster. I bought a toaster to match my microwave and to match my bread bin and match my litter bin and to match my kettle, and I use the gas grill to do my toast. So I've got a 4-slice toaster that's never been used, and the chances are it never will be, but it looks pretty on the side. Other than that, everything I've bought has a purpose and gets used on a regular basis. Well, Phil, as I said earlier on, I'm moored in a marina because I work at the moment, and because of lockdown, I haven't had a chance to get out and do the amount of practicing I'm going to need. But I'm not intending to go out long term until June next year when I retire. My plan is this summer, as I've already said, is to spend some time up near Sawley, practicing on wider water, to get the feel of the boat, her movement against and with the breeze, and against them with any flow, current. I will then do a helmsman course with a guy from Red Hill Marina, who I've already spoken to, which is a 2-day course. But I've actually asked him if I can have him for a 3rd day. And my plan is to do the 2-day training, and then on the 3rd day for him to come to Murcia, and then I will sail him back to Red Hill Marina and unassisted. So he can just be there to guide if there's anything I've forgotten, but basically is a double check that I've learned what he's taught me. And I think, to be fair, that the practicing will go on for years, because there'll always be different scenarios that I'm going to find myself in as a single crew. A friend of mine is going to come down from Rotherham. He's been sailing a boat the same kind of size as Freedom, 57B12, for over 30 years, single-handed. And we're going to go through all sorts of scenarios out on the Trent, loss of engine power, loss of steering, all sorts, mooring in difficult scenarios, just to give me a feel of what it is I'm going to be able to go through and what I should be doing in them situations. And I think once you've got that kind of information in the back of your mind, then you're going to be safer out on the water, not just for yourself but for others, and hopefully never have to use a lot of what I'm taught. But I believe that the practicing will go on for many, many years, and chances are all the way across to Liverpool and back, when I do that trip, it'll still be practicing. Well, Phil, that's a good question. What's going to be my biggest challenge? I think I've given this a bit of thought, actually, because you've had your question in quite a while. Because I'm going to be single crew on a big boat, I think the biggest challenge for me is having the confidence in my own ability. And I think that will be the key thing. Once I've got that confidence that I'm capable of dealing with any, I wouldn't say disasters, but any issues out on the waterway, then I will have the confidence to handle it in a safe and correct manner. You'll always, and I'm no different to anybody else, I'm going to, the first time I've sailed Freedom out of Mercia Marina, I know we've got a very tight entrance into the marina. I know it's a tight left turn out onto the canal. I know that the bridges are very narrow, so all these things will always be in the back of my mind. But you've just got to build the confidence in your own ability. And my ultimate goal next June, when I decide I'm going out permanently on the water, well, say permanent, I'm going to go out 7 months of the year, is to sail Freedom single crew across to Liverpool and back. Well, with Misty. And as she can't steer the boat, I've got to do it all. So, yes, going through locks on my own, jumping off and tying up on my own. It's a lot easier when you've got a crew member who you can get off the front of the boat, can jump off with a rope or grab a centre line from you and wrap it around a bollard or put it through a ring and wrap it around a couple of times to secure you. When you're doing it on your own, it's a bit more scary, and this is part and parcel of the training that I'm going to do in advance. And yes, I'm going to get it wrong, because anybody who said they can get on the back of a boat and get it right first time, I think a bit dreaming, they're a bit of a dreamer. So yeah, confidence, that is the biggest challenge, nothing else. This question, Cheryl, I'm assuming is, I've picked this off of the fire clean, etc. that I did, the vlog I did on the fire. And I'm assuming you mean if I was to take the back boiler out, can I block up the hole? Well, there'll be 2 holes. There's an inlet water pipe and an outlet water pipe on your back boiler. And the answer is yes. If ever I decided to take the back boiler out, which I've now realised the issues that was with the back boiler was actually down to the fact that the fire wasn't being used efficiently, which I've now sorted. But if I was to take the back boiler out, I spoke to Morso, the people who make the Squirrel, and their tech guy has instructed me what I'd need to do, which is basically 2 plates, high temperature steel plates with a bolt. And he said, obviously, because it's not a high pressure situation, he says you could just put some high temperature silicon either side, put the 2 plates on, put the bolt through, that blanks the hole off, he says, and any gases will automatically be vented out through the flue. So but I don't need to do that because I'm happy with the back boiler now, because it actually heats my radiators. So thank you for that question. Hi Pete, nice to hear from you. Good question. To be honest, on the back of Freedom, because I've got a large stern deck, I have an ash bucket with a lid, and I empty the ash pan twice a day into that bucket. Most of the time, we haven't got glowing embers in there because I control the fire better now than I used to. But on the odd occasions, if I come to empty the ash pan and when I pull it out, it's glowing, I stand the bucket outside of the boat on the pontoon and empty the ash pan into it and put the lid on and leave it out there overnight. It's not going to start a fire, and it's you're always conscious of the gases that come off of hot ash. Once they've gone cold, then where our recycling bins are, there's several dustbins there to put your ash in, and I'm not sure whether the gardeners use it or it's just taken away, but it's safely disposed of. This wasn't actually such actually a question, but I've put it in because it was more of a comment, and I read it as being just a comment, but I just thought I would answer it anyway. I did actually look at compost toilets, or should I say I've looked at a lot of YouTube, boaters, channels that have installed composting toilet. And with all the different changes regarding disposal of your waste, a lot of people are like double bagging it and then dumping it in the bin, the CRT bins at the stop off points around the circuit light on the waterways. And to be honest with you, I actually like having the cassette toilets. I've got spare cartridges if I need them for when I go out on the water. And for me, a cassette loo, absolutely bang on, is what I need. I was going to have a pump out toilet on the boat that I was going to buy. And then I came on board Freedom and she got a cassette. And I've been emptying that cassette now for over a year. And I can say hand on heart, not once have I emptied that cassette toilet and thought, oh my God, I need to get a composting loo. Not once. So I'm sticking with the cassette. Well, Peter, the answer to that is I don't have a problem with condensation. I know a lot of boats do, but when this boat was built, it was built under the guidance of a marine surveyor and engineer. And I think they've planned this and built this boat really, really well. I do have my Morso Squirrel ticking over 24 hours a day. I've got 5 mushroom air vents on top of the boat. I have the obligatory air vents in the doors front and rear. I've got air vents in the electric cupboard to the rear of the boat, and then all the way around where the I don't know if you can actually see one just up there if I'm pointing at it. I don't know if you can actually see it. All the way around the roof line of the boat, every 4 or 5 feet, again, is an air vent. And I honestly think that the way around the condensation issue, and I haven't got double glazing or anything like that, is dry heat. Obviously, that's where the solid fuel stove comes in, and damn good ventilation. Now that doesn't mean your boat's got to be icy cold because you've got a lot of air passing through. Anybody who's ever come on board Freedom would tell you that in the cold weather, 25 to 30 degree is never far off the mark when you walk on my boat, and I more than often have to have all the portholes glasses tilted back to let the heat out, and that is not with the stove going like crazy. It's a well insulated boat. When I came to look at it, I must admit, when they opened one of the cupboards in the bedroom, there was a stack of these peel off the top and place them all around your boat dehumidifiers, the canister type that you can just, I don't really empty them, or you just throw them away when they're full. And when I said to Jeff, do you have a major problem with condensation? He said no. He says, but his wife, who on her own admission was very OCD, was always worried that there would be. Now, I've seen vlogs where people are saying they've had to buy this protective membrane to put under the mattress or next to the wall where the mattress is on the side of the boat because there's black mold and there's all this. Honestly, I've been in every cupboard. I've been in every corner of every cupboard, in the wardrobes, at the back of the kitchen cupboards. I've got no mold, no damp. It's a lovely dry boat and it's very well ventilated. So I think that's the key. Good ventilation, plenty of dry heat. I don't quite know whether diesel stoves do give off more moisture. I'm not qualified to say. And to me, I think it's the dry heat and the good ventilation is the key. And after that, you've got a major problem if you've still got condensation in your boat. Well, that's an easy one to answer, Susan. No. No, I definitely don't want a diesel stove. Not unless all the laws and legislation changes that says we can no longer have a solid fuel, wood burning, smokeless fuel burning stove on a boat. I just don't want to know. I've only been talking yesterday to my neighbour, and he'd been talking to somebody else on the marina who had a diesel stove, and they've took theirs out and had a Morso squirrel like mine put on board. They was burning £200 worth of diesel a month. £200. And my neighbour is burning £200 worth of diesel every 6 weeks. Now I burn £2.60 worth of coal a day and 50p worth of logs. So you can say roughly £3 a day, £21 a week. Over a month, £84. Would I consider taking my Morso squirrel stove off the boat and putting a diesel stove on? Definitely not. And that's the reason. Well, Mike, the answer is yes, I am going to service and maintain Freedom myself. But I'm going to allow the first service to be done with the watchful eye of a neighbour who does his own narrowboat engine. Yeah, I've done car engines, so I know the principle, but I just want to have somebody there stood at the side of me saying, I'd have done it this way, or there's an easier way, or have you got this piece of equipment because you're going to need it. Obviously, unlike a car, you can't take the drain bung out the bottom of the sump and it runs into a bowl. You know, I know we have a pump on the side of the engine, like a T-bar, and you suck out the old oil. But the basics of changing filters, etc., is no different to that as the diesel engine in my van. Obviously, you've got to be aware of making sure that when you change the fuel filters, you won't got an air trap in there. And you need again, it's all part of the confidence. If you've got the confidence to service it, then you'll understand the engine better, you'll understand your boat better, and you'll be able to predict when there's an issue coming and not wait till you've actually broken down. And as yours is the last question on boats for this vlog, I'd like to say thank you to each and every one of you. It's been absolutely brilliant to have your questions come in. There's a heck of a lot more on lifestyle, which I'm going to do next week. And remember, I'm new to all this. Yes, I've lived on a boat for a year, but I've only travelled this weekend 2 berths, which was an experience. Scary but enjoyable at the same time. And I'm no expert. And the whole point of this vlog is for people who, like me, are not experts. Always ask the question. If I haven't got the answer, there'll always be other people who will put in the comments below exactly what you ought to be doing as far as they're concerned. So it's like everything else. You learn as you go. So that's it for this week. I hope you found this informative. Misty's played no part whatsoever. She's laid it aside of me, absolutely knacked, because she's been on the park all morning with a ball. And I've got a dinner to cook, and I'll catch up with you next week. If you've enjoyed the vlog, please give me a thumbs up. If you haven't, then I do apologise. I do my best, and please don't give me a thumbs down. And we'll catch up next week. Thank you for watching. From Misty and me, bye-bye.